what is cybersecurity, what is an entry-level job, all of those questions that pop up when you're thinking about a career change. If that resonates for you, then keep listening. This is the podcast for you. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cyber Revolution podcast. Thanks for joining us yet again. I'm Adam Hewitt, the CEO of Cyber Revolution, and today I'm joined by a superstar student of ours, Leo Ngo. Leo, how are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for joining. We've got Leo on the podcast today because he has just landed himself his first role in the industry after changing careers, which we're going to get into in more detail. Before we do, I want to give everybody who is a new listener of this podcast a bit of an overview of who Cyber Revolution are, more importantly, who this podcast is for. And so Cyber Revolution, we are Australia's only dedicated cybersecurity training and placement institute. We specialize in finding people their first job in cybersecurity. And so we've been doing this for a long time now. Over the years, we've been doing this, roughly 4.5 to 5 years now. We've been specializing in helping people land their first job in cybersecurity. We realized the best way to educate the masses and really answer all of the questions that we get on a daily basis is this podcast. Okay, so this is for somebody who is thinking about a career change. They've heard about this thing called cybersecurity, but they're not really sure about what skills they need to learn, whether they can actually land a job in cybersecurity, what is cybersecurity, what is an entry-level job, all of those questions that pop up when you're thinking about a career change, okay? If that resonates for you, then keep listening. This is the podcast for you. All right, Leo, let's get into it. Let's start from the very beginning, where I do with all of our guests. Yeah, what were you doing for work when you were looking into a career change in cybersecurity?
So before looking into cybersecurity, I was working as a mechanic for the last 10 years. Realized that, being a mechanic is a hard work and it's not something I want to do long term. Plus, in addition, I always have a soft spot for technology. So I'm more into technologies, I'm more into AI, computer science. In fact, I was actually doing AI engineering back in 2019, but because of circumstances, I couldn't complete the course. So now I decided it's probably time for me to take a leap of faith into what I'm so passionate about, and that is how I come across cybersecurity or cyber revolution.
Good on you, mate. Good on you, because it is a leap of faith and it takes some courage to be able to do that. Obviously, from a mechanic into cybersecurity, a lot of people might think that there's, that's two completely different worlds. Have you found that there is some similarities in those two areas or two spaces? Are there some transferable skills that you could bring across into the cybersecurity space?
Being mechanic, you pretty much train to become a technical skills from the very beginning, and you are pretty hand-on with your tools and your parts and all the stuff that moving around in an engine, all right? So, and also community skill as well. We need to talk to customer, talk to different level of education. Some people can understand it, some people don't understand it. You have different terms. Communication skills is important. So those two skills, I can see that be transferable to cybersecurity, especially in technical role. Where you probably become maybe like a network engineer, or diagnostic, a switch, a router, fixing them up, and have to try to explain them to non-technical people.
That'd be the two biggest transferable skills for me. The main thing being problem solving. As a mechanic, you're always fixing problems, and you've got to use that critical thinking skills and then solve the problems. That'd be a huge transferable skill, because this is what we really preach. We help 99% of our students are career changers, and we find that there is a secret sauce in being able to bring over your transferable skills, what you've done in the past, and highlighting that to our employment partners, the companies that take on our students. So mechanic, initially people might think that's just two separate worlds, but there are really overlapping skills there. As you mentioned before, problem-solving skills, and then really customer service. Being able to communicate that to a customer is crucial as well in cybersecurity. Okay, and so you mentioned it's hard work. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what was it was there a catalyst moment that made you go, I need to do this, I need to change careers?
So by saying hard work, it just means that you're working on the car engine. You have to always open up transmission, pull the engine apart, get into awkward position, try to undo bolts and nuts, and sometimes it seizes up and stuff like that. So by hard work, I mean like physical hard work. And I don't see myself doing it long term because, first of all, like my body can handle it. So I talked to a lot of mechanic, and over time the body just like aching, joint, like injury, like a lot of different things happening. But by the time you turn 40, your body is pretty much like aging in advance for your age. That is why I feel like this is not the way for me. I don't want to end up, like pain and John and all that stuff by the time I turn 40. I just want to enjoy my life, want to go out and want to go travel. That's why I decided to, nope, this is time for me to go through, different field.
Amazing. So that was your main motivator, right? Being able to have better quality of life and also extend your career, because we help a lot of tradesmen, we help a lot of people in the hospitality industry, chefs, who they just say the same thing. They're like, my body is going to break at some point, and if I'm 40 and I can't use my body anymore, I need to learn a new skill. So I think that would resonate with a lot of people. Okay, great. So tell us a little bit more about your first entry-level role that you've just landed.
So I'm taking pretty much a long way to go about it. They're definitely a bit socket, but it's my way of doing it. Is that so from being mechanic, before I actually land my first role, I actually a security guard for a year, right? So because security and cybersecurity pretty much relevant, just one is physical and one is on the network. So this is by chance, whereas the company I'm working for, it actually advertised for a data analyst role, and I was already working for a company at the time. So that's why when I come across, I just like, look, I put my hand up and say, look, I've done this certificate. I'm knowledgeable about basic foundation of computer, of networking, of securities. I work for you. You know how I work, how my ethic work is. I want to give it a try.
Yeah, amazing. I remember us having a chat when you landed the role, and this is something I think we're going to see a lot more companies do. Obviously, we help place our students within the companies that we partner with, but what we're also hearing is some of our students that are currently working in an organization, they let their HR team know, hey, I'm studying these cybersecurity certs, my CompTIA certifications. I've got X, Y, and Z skills. Am I going to be valuable in another area of this business within cybersecurity? And they're just internally promoting or internally shifting these people from a non-technical role or a non-cyber role into a cybersecurity role because they know that they need to do that. And they already know that you're a good worker, you fit in well with everybody else within the organization, so you don't have to go through that interview process. How was that transition for you? Was that a bit nerve-wracking? Have you found the last few weeks of transitioning from that physical role to now, as you said, on the network?
The way I work at the moment is 50-50. It's mean like 50% of the time I'll be security guard for the company, while 50% of the time I'll become a data analyst. At the moment, I'm studying their own material, their own course material in-house, because they got their own different program and you got to learn how to use it and how to function those. That is what I'm doing at the moment. When I complete that, then I'll completely become a full-time data analyst for the company. So the transition is pretty different because one, that you don't have to think about like when you don't work, because security guy is pretty easy, right? Sometimes it's hard, but some of the time it's pretty easy jobs. But to become a data analyst, you have to become a different hand. You have to be like completely different thinking, apply different like mindset into looking at one and look at different data, try to come to conclusion.
Yep. And are you enjoying that transition, or are you enjoying that new challenge?
It's very challenging at first, but I would love challenging, so I want to prove myself that I can do it.
Yeah, I remember that's probably a big reason that you were not so much challenged in your physical security role, right? As you said, like it's easier work. I mean, taxing maybe longer hours and you've got to be on your feet, but maybe not so much mentally as challenging as the role that you're in at the moment.
Yes, so it's not as mentally challenging as that yet.
I'm glad you're enjoying that. And so if we pivot back a little bit towards you were a mechanic in physical security, you're starting to think about a career change and you look into cybersecurity. I'm assuming you did your research. How did you come across us? How did you come across Cyber Revolution, and why did you decide to join us over all of the other training providers out there?
So I come across Cyber Revolution by chance through Facebook ad, and while I was looking to where to study, I look at the ad and I see your potential in the school where you got connection with other cybersecurity firm. It's probably the biggest advantage. I choose the school over any other provider out there. But also I'll be able to speak to, like the actual real person, mentor, as well as, the course material is pretty sophisticated for what it is, and also extra materials that you can learn during taking the course as well.
Amazing. So it was obviously the main selling point for us is that we have placement partners, opportunities for our students. But you mentioned also, which I love to hear, is the one-on-one support and the mentors that our students get access to. Your student support officer was Angelica, or Angel as we like to call her. How have you found her? I spoke to Angel previously about yourself and why she thought you were really successful within the studies and obviously landing your first role. How have you found the support with Angel, and why do you think you've been so successful and be able to land this role?
Angela is a very good mentor. She's always very responsive to my inquiry, and she understands the challenge that I'm facing, in which I'm working full time as well as study on the side, trying making a living, while it's in a completely different field. Also got family, mortgage, all that stuff, all the challenges in life that someone can face. Right, so she understands that. She doesn't actually, she actually provide me a way to do it, like how to manage my time. Take one step at a time. Don't take too much in. Take it easy. And yeah, I think that's very helpful. Also, she helped me to connect to the right people to speak to when I need help with. Yes, so that's probably why I'm staying, with Cyber Revolution for this course.
Yeah, amazing. Angel is, she's an absolute rock star of the organization. And she mentioned the same thing about you, right? Why she thought you were so successful is because you were really good at following her instructions, breaking down, because this is what we do for our students. Because obviously everyone has the goal of landing a job in cybersecurity. That is, the North Star for everybody. But you can't just look at that. You can't start our job placement program and just keep your head up and go focusing on the job all of the time. All right. You need to break it down, reverse engineer how you're going to do that into what do you have to do each month, each week, each day in order to be successful. And Angel said that you were really good at that. We provide study plans for our students, and all you have to do is break it down weekly, catch up with your student support officer, and then achieve those goals and then move on to the next thing. So she said you were really, really consistent, which is important while studying. On your studies, you came into this with, as you said, this was something new. You came into it with zero prior IT experience or certifications. Were you nervous about that process of having to learn new skills?
At the start, it is pretty because you study a completely different field. But the thing is, what you have to think about, what's your end goal is. The reason why you change to why you enroll in the course in the first place. Your motivation, your reason. That is why it keep me going, because I know that I'm doing this for a reason, not because I'm doing it just to killing time. So that's just pushing me forward to overcome the nervous at the very start.
Yep, exactly right. Like everyone's quite nervous to take, as you said at the start of this conversation, take the leap. It is a leap of faith. Having to change careers is a big deal, and everyone's going to be nervous. Change makes people uncomfortable, but I think the most uncomfortable thing, or the thing that would scare, and you might agree with this yourself the most, would be if you didn't change and you stayed in the same industry and 5, 10, 15 years went past and you didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to say the same, if you are someone who want a stable life, go for it. But it's not for me. I like going out, study new things, challenge myself, explore different career paths. I will improve myself every day.
And as you said, you've always been interested in this previously. You've always been interested in technology, and cybersecurity was of interest of you when everyone saw it on the news and the Optus and Medibank attacks occurred. And so good on you for having the courage to take that leap. We're chatting around your studies. I want to dive a little bit deeper before we finish up around that. What have you enjoyed most about your studies? Was it the lectures, the labs, the mentors, the support?
I could say that the content is what I'm enjoying, very comprehensive. Practice exam questions, very important. That's something you gotta be on top with. The lab, I would say, I would be more enjoyable if they can be a little bit stable, but maybe got make interconnection. Maybe different people have different but I found that I spent a lot of times, like to go over it just because the connection is very unstable around my area. So that's probably just on my end, nothing to do with with the lab itself. Yeah.
No, that's fine, and it's because they're live networks. You're working on a live network, so you need a good internet connection, or you need just a basic internet connection to be able to work on a live network. Because what we're trying to do there is, yes, you've got the lectures and you've got all of the content to learn the theory, but what's really important, what gets our students job ready, are these live labs where you can actually implement that theory into a live network and do what you're doing in the real world, or what a cybersecurity professional is. So you're practicing and honing those skills. Okay, so it sounds like it was mainly around the content you really enjoyed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good to hear. We put a lot of work into that. And so to finish off, this is a question that I ask all of our students that I have on the podcast. We've talked about fear and change a lot, in this conversation in the podcast. What would be your 3 top tips for somebody who potentially is in the position that you were in 6 or 8 months ago, when you're thinking about a change and, as you said, you decided to take the leap? What would be your top 3 tips for somebody who's potentially letting that fear hold them back?
Well, I think the first of all is probably find your reason. The reasons why you ever think about changing the career, the motivation, what motivates you to change the career, and what your end goal is. So D3 is pretty much like helping me to push me forward with all the nervousness, all the uncertainty. That's pretty much like the first. You gotta find yourself. Like, you gotta be true with yourself to be convinced of yourself that you want to do this.
That's really, really sound advice, Leo. I think a lot of people decide that they just want a career change because they hate the current situation that they're in. It's not enjoyable, and they decide, I need to change. Whilst that is, a reason to change, it's not the reason to get into cybersecurity just because you might be getting better pay, or you can work from home, or all of these good things. You need to understand your real reason why, but also you need to understand a little bit more about cybersecurity and if it's going to be a good fit for you, which is why we always have in-depth one-on-one conversations with all of our, all of the people who decide to join our program. We have these conversations beforehand for 35, 45 minutes, up to an hour. We find out their reason why, but then we also ask them lots of questions to really find out if this is the industry for them or not, because worst case scenario is you make the change just because you hate your current situation, and then you get into the cybersecurity industry and you find out it's not a good fit for you. So really, really good advice, mate. Appreciate it.
What I would like to also add in is that even within cybersecurity, there's a lot of different role you can do. Not just like when we think about cybersecurity, you will think just about the network, the computer, the IT side of it, but they're actually more. Like, you can actually go out there and sell a security program. You can be someone who fixes the router. You can be someone who fixes the physical devices that require on the net.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there are 2 sides to cybersecurity that we place our students in. You've got the technical side, and then you've also got the non-technical side, which can include business development, but also GRC consulting, governance, risk, and compliance as well. So it's not just the technical path which you've decided to go down. Amazing. Thanks so much, Leo. I know that you're on your lunch break now and you've got to get back to your new role, so I'll let you go, but really appreciate your spending your time with us and sharing all of your wisdom. And I know a lot of the people listening and a lot of our
Thank you, Adam.
current students who are going to gain a lot of motivation about it. So if you did enjoy this, guys, please like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. We're really liking the feedback we're getting on the podcast, so keep those questions coming in as well. If you'd like to know more about our job placement program that Leo has gone through, all you have to do is head to cyberrevolution.com.au. You can leave your details there and someone from the team will be in touch. Thank you, Leo.